Excited to have you here today. I am thrilled. I always like it when we can talk to women that are living the experience that so many of you are looking forward to. So my name's Ashley. I'm the director of pre-MBA programs here at Forté, which means I get to see all the programming for women like yourself that are on their journey to an MBA program. Today, we're going to be speaking with some current MBA students about their experiences and how you can make your mark as an MBA. Before we dive into content, I do have a little bit to talk about. I want to take just a minute to talk about the work that we do specifically here at Forté. So at Forté, we are all about changing the balance of power in the workplace. We are a nonprofit organization. We've been around for about 20 years now, and we are a group, a community of amazing companies, business schools, talented women, pioneering donors, and now we have a network of over 115,000. The work that we do here at Forté is all about helping you change the trajectory of your career. We help make the MBA a reality for more women through programming like this, as well as some of the programs that I'm about to mention. We work with over 60 full-time MBA partner programs in the US, Canada, UK, and Europe, as well as over 30 executive and professional programs. And as I said, we hope to make the MBA a reality for more women. We do that through programming like this webinar today and through our pre-MBA webinar series. We also host a couple of events to help you connect with partner schools. So after today, if you're really excited to connect with some of the amazing schools that we'll be featuring here, I would invite you to attend our upcoming forum, which is on April 10th. It's virtual, so you can do it from your couch. It's an opportunity to connect with over 60 schools, hear about the experiences of alumni, hear from admissions, and to get a full taste of everything you need to know about an MBA. If you're looking for some assistance on your application to business school, we do, of course, have our MBA launch program. It's our flagship MBA prep program designed to give you everything you need, kind of from beginning to end about the application process. The cohort closes this week, so if you're interested, definitely check it out. We'd love to have you consider that program. I also want to give a big thank you to today's sponsor organization. So these amazing schools help us with the work that we do here at Forté. So I want to give a big thank you for them for their support, as well as providing our amazing panelists today. So I think I kept it pretty short. Yes, I did. I want to first do some introductions. So I'm going to ask each of our panelists to tell us who they are, where they're going to school. They'll also share their undergraduate institution and their undergraduate major, as well as what they consider their hometown to be. Then I have some pre-arranged questions for the panelists. So I'm going to go through and kind of ask them about their journey to and through business school. And then time permitting, we should have some time for audience questions. So if you have questions for these panelists, make sure you drop those in the Q&A. We'd love to hear from you. So with that, we're going to do introductions. I'm going to go in the order in which everyone appears on my screen. So Alicia, you're up first.
Hi, everyone. I'm super excited to be here today. My name is Alicia Pettis, and I am at Cornell Johnson, and I'm the class of 2026, so I'm still in my first year. I am originally from Fairfax, Virginia, right outside the DC area, and my undergrad is James Madison University, and my degree was in sociology. So accounting and finance and some of these classes are brand new to me, and it's been a really fun challenge.
Awesome. Thank you. Pallavi.
Hi, everyone. It's wonderful to interact with everybody and specifically the panelists today. So I read my MBA at Oxford. I'll be graduating in September 2025. I have an undergrad degree in law from India. And similarly, I grew up in India, in New Delhi, but I have worked across geographies in Africa, Middle East, and in Europe. And very excited to be here. And as was mentioned by the Forte Foundation, it is so important to break through the barriers that keep women at the periphery of MBA. So hopefully we are going to get some great thought leadership out of this webinar.
Wonderful. Thank you. Anastasia.
Hi, everyone. I'm super excited to be here. 2 years ago, I was actually on the other side of this room, listening from Nigeria, but here I am today. So that goes to show like the amount of growth that happens through this the MBA program. My name is Anastasia Nene, and I'm originally from Nigeria. I have a bachelor's degree in economics, but currently I am concentrating in operations management as well as technology innovation and product management. And I'm super excited to meet you all. I look forward to sharing my experience and learning with everyone here.
Wonderful. Thank you. Hannah.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. My name is Hannah Foley. I am currently in my second year at Marshall School of Business at the University of Southern California. Got my undergraduate degree at Boston College, where I majored in English and communications. So similar to Alicia, the corporate finance, accounting, all of that was very new to me. And my hometown, I kind of split my hometown. I grew up half of my life in Chiswick, England, and then the second half of my life in Connecticut.
And Dallas.
Hi, my name is Dallas Charles. I am a current second year at Schiller College of Business at Georgia Tech here in Atlanta. My undergrad I did at Arizona State University, and I majored in international management. I also got my master's from Arizona State in business analytics. And then I am originally from Washington, D.C., so hello, neighbor.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much for the intro. So I'm going to have you all go back in time with me. As Anastasia kind of mentioned, you all were in our audience's shoes not that long ago. So I'd love to hear a bit about why you decided to pursue an MBA. And interestingly, you all have very different undergraduate experiences. So I'd love to hear about kind of your journey. Why did you decide that this was going to be the next step in your professional career? So if y'all don't mind, I think we're just going to go in the same order again. So Alicia, you're back up top. Why did you decide to pursue an MBA?
Yeah, great question. So my background, my work experience is in higher ed, and I wanted to get out of that space. I was doing design thinking certificates through a couple different MBA programs. And I was realizing that even though I had these certificates, I wasn't able to transfer into the spaces that I wanted to go into. So, because these design thinking certificates were coming from MBA programs, and I was really lacking this financial viability aspect of, when you're doing innovation, you really need to talk about, what is the financial viability? I realized that an MBA would be a really good idea. And I had a friend who had received a Forté fellowship going to the London Business School. And she said, there's actually a Forté MBA launch program that you should do. So I did the Forté MBA launch program, which was super helpful in getting to know all the different schools that are available to you, get to know how to present yourself and really think about what goals you have and also how to articulate those in a way that's going to help you really sell your story to admissions. And from there, I got into Cornell Johnson. I think a lot of the reasons why I chose this is because it is such like a student-led culture, and that was a really important aspect to me. It's something that I saw a lot in my undergrad, and so that really helped me choose Cornell. I think there's a lot of leadership opportunities here in general. So, and it's been just an amazing first year.
Pallavi, what about you? And you have the interesting perspective as Anastasia as well. Will be interesting to hear your perspective because also you applied to schools outside of your home country as well.
That's right, absolutely. So I come with a prior work experience in public policy and public sector transformations, and having worked across geographies, both in emerging and mature, I realized that specifically in the last 5 years, the public policy and the public sector domain has changed so much, and now there's a business case, a valid business case attached to how we evolving public sector. And for that, I've felt it absolutely necessary to have a business degree because public sector is no more looked at just a citizen-based approach. It is more looked at as an investment opportunity for emerging economies specifically to evolve and have unparalleled potential as far as emerging of wealth is concerned. So as I mentioned, I had worked across geographies in Africa, Middle East, and in Europe. So for me, the only geography that I wanted to apply to was Europe for two reasons. A, I wanted a one-year program. B, I wanted a program where there is a focus on certain amount of how emerging and mature geographies evolve and intertwine with each other. And Europe happened to be the best place for that kind of disposition. And so that is how my entire MBA experience evolved. And Oxford just fitted the bill as far as my components of MBA was concerned. It was a one-year program. There was a lot of focus on public policy and impact. And the third was definitely the diversity of the cohort was unparalleled. So, and in the last 6 months that we have been here, we are just done with the 2/3 of our MBA program. It has been except it has been unparalleled as far as opportunities are concerned because of the collegiate system at Oxford. It's not just the business school, but a number of 33 other colleges that one interacts with. So there's a lot of understanding of how public policy and business intertwines with each other.
Cool. Thank you. Anastasia, what about you?
Yeah, so before business school, I worked across diverse industries from VC firms to health tech to financial services. And despite the fact that I enjoyed the diversity of these roles and the industry that I work with, I found myself, thinking beyond the immediate task. I started thinking about why certain processes existed, how technology can be leveraged to improve those processes, and what kind of long-term impact they would have on organizations. That curiosity sort of also helped me realize how much I love to find new technology to help streamline processes and make scalable impact for organizations. And that was how I started having conversations with my friends. And initially, I considered a master's degree, but then my friend told me that MBA has more to offer. And because I also wanted to improve my leadership skills, I knew that MBA was what would provide that leadership skills that I needed, as well as help me understand the intersection of technology and operations. And that was when I decided to, make that move and come to pursue an MBA here in the United States. And it's been an amazing 21 months of my life. I've enjoyed every single process. I really am grateful to everyone that has helped me come this far. Like I said, 2 years ago, I was on the other side of this webinar, but look at me now here as a panelist. A lot of growth has happened in my life, and I've achieved a lot as well. After MBA, I'm going to be joining Amazon as a Pathways Operations Manager, which is something I really wanted to do. I wanted to make impact on a global scale, and UNC has equipped me so much with not just the technical skills, but also the leadership skills that I need to achieve my goal. So I'm really excited, and I look forward to what the future holds for me.
Thank you. Hannah, what about you?
Cool. So before business school, I worked in the software industry at like software as a service industry at 3 different startups. So anyone in that world right now, I feel you. It's definitely been a rough couple of years. In January of 2023, I logged on to work and I felt the vibe that there was going to be a layoff. And it was the 5th one that I had lived through. I luckily kept my job, but that was my catalyst to apply. I had been thinking about business school, but I was kind of thinking, I was like, oh, maybe I'll apply the next cycle in the fall. But instead decided to apply round 3. So this is my PSA to anyone on here. If you are thinking about it and you're thinking maybe I'll wait till the fall, if there are schools that you're interested in that still have rounds open, throw your hat into the ring. I'm definitely I'm a testament that it can work out applying round 3. I got in everywhere I applied to. In terms of where I decided to apply, I decided to make business school an adventure, but an adventure where I could see myself living after the fact. So before I was living in New York City, and I decided to apply to schools in cities I'd never lived in, but I thought I could see myself living in. USC was not my first choice when I started my research process, but I was able to visit every single campus I applied to. And then when I was here on campus, I felt that feeling of home. I think Alicia talked about looking for similarities in her undergrad experience. And I went to Boston College, which is a university that people are obsessed with, and they love to talk about it, myself included. And I love that the USC had that. And then it also had the other things I was looking for in the community, the alumni network, the proximity to a city, a lot of other global focus programs. We have a core class at USC called Prime that requires you cannot graduate without taking this class. That it's a component of traveling with your entire class at the end of your first year. So I went to Seoul, South Korea. This year, the first years are going to Hong Kong, South Korea, Singapore, Bangkok, London, Germany, and I think I'm missing a couple. And so there were all the pieces that I was looking for in my MBA program, USC fell into place, and it's been the best 21 months. I'm really sad that it's coming to an end in 6 weeks. It's really been such a gift, and I had really high expectations for business school, and these last 21 months have more than exceeded it in terms of my professional life, my personal life, my classroom life, like everything under the sun.
Awesome. Thanks, Hannah. And Dallas.
Yeah, so whenever I get asked the why MBA question, it's I'm one of those like weird people that has a weird answer, but the MBA has been part of my like life goal dream since I was little. So it's it wasn't something that kind of developed through my work or anything like that. My uncle got his MBA maybe a year after I was born. He graduated, and so I grew up watching what an MBA did for a person of color in the business world. So I kind of went in with that mindset, like no matter what I do in life, I'm going to go and get my MBA to make myself more successful and to kind of get that pedigree of what I could see it was doing for people. And then what kind of made this like the perfect time to get my MBA for me is I also had a little bit of a tiff at work. It was something that I couldn't get past. My manager wasn't allowing us to move to different teams. He was kind of like blocking the jobs we were applying to. So having that kind of experience with him, I kind of had this big moment of like, okay, I'm gonna apply to my MBA right now. And I really wanted to focus on schools that had a focus on technology. So I'm very passionate about the idea of combining business and technology, which is perfect choice with Georgia Tech, combining, the intersection of business and technology. And so having the business analytics degree, I just wanted to add to that more business knowledge and really relate them back to each other. And so, yes.
Awesome. I'll also make a plug. We do have a webinar coming up, specifically if you are looking to apply in final rounds. So if you kind of like this, you're thinking, hey, just-in-time applications, we have a webinar coming up, and my colleague Melissa might put a link in the chat. But if you're thinking, could I get in a last-minute application? You definitely could. Absolutely. So to think back, you all kind of touched on this idea of how you picked your program and kind of the factors professionally that influenced how you chose programs. And a couple of you touched on this, but I'm going to kind of open it up a little bit more if there's anything. When you were evaluating MBA programs, how important was that kind of community aspect, or how important were kind of clubs or extracurriculars? And how did you go about evaluating that? So how did you really decide, like, oh, I understand what this community means? And I'm going to pick on Hannah first, because Hannah, you mentioned visiting campus. And so I'm wondering, is that how you kind of honed in on community and clubs, or were there other things that you used?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me personally, visiting campus was really impactful and getting that like in-person feel. But I know not everyone is in a position that they can go visit campus. At the time, I was working in a remote job, so my manager didn't know that I was in LA or Austin, Texas, or Nashville or wherever it may be looking at school. She just thought I was in a different place for a couple days. Um, but I think outside of that, I feel like most business schools do admissions teams do info sessions about the full-time MBA program that they offer. I joined all of those even before I visited campus for the schools I was interested in, because I think even on those calls, like you can get a feel of the program. Most schools also have, I think, an ambassador program where you can talk to current students. I myself am an ambassador at Marshall. Based on the head nodding, I'm guessing a couple of us are. And I think that's also on a Zoom call, similar, more one-on-one, you can have a conversation with someone who's literally in the shoes that you're considering, to see like person to person, like, is this a vibe too? I think to your like other question about, I guess like the broader question about how I evaluated programs, there are thousands of MBA programs around the world. So what helped me, especially doing it, knowing I was going to be applying in round 3, I sat down and I thought about what was I looking for. So I had a bit of criteria, like I had like 5 areas of criteria that small, like made the pool of schools that I was going to start researching a little bit smaller. So for me, one of the things that was really important to me was program size. I had friends who went to other business schools that had thousands of people per class, and they brought up the fact that for them, at times it was hard to feel like a part of, like they had to find their clubs or their organizations to then like find their people and they thought it was odd at times that they didn't necessarily know everyone in the program. And I resonated with that, and I wanted that. So Marshall for me was we're around 200 a class, and I feel like I personally know probably 90% of my class, and I think I know minimum 50% of the first years this year. And so I like the community piece was really important to me. Alumni network, I think, like I mentioned before, like a city where I could see myself living. City was pretty key for me because I'm at the stage of my life where my friends keep getting married. And I'm obviously super happy for them in this journey, but it requires me to get on flights a good amount because they're getting married on the East Coast or wherever it may be. So proximity to a major airport. I also was looking, I wanted a business school program that had that international component. Like I love to travel, but I wanted to combine that love of travel with actually like business. Were kind of my like big areas. And then there were a lot of schools that fit the bill. It's just like Marshall became the one that was right for me. I also like, I think a club or a community organization that I really resonated with is we have a program called Marshall Leader Fellowship. That it's a leadership program that you have to apply for. And the end result after your second semester of your first year is first semester of your second year when the next class, like the first years come to campus, their core teams. Every school is a different term for like how you break up your first year like mandatory classes. So for us at Marshall, it's called you're split up by cores. Then you have your team within your core that you do your group projects with within each of those classes. And a leader fellow gets assigned to a core team and it's just there as like a person as a resource as they're getting used to working together, being in business school, recruiting, maybe living in a new place. And I think it was a program that I wanted to level up my leadership skills. And so that program and the community within it, because there's alums who come back to campus for it, was one of the clubs that also really resonated with me at Marshall. But I think I'm on the board of like 5 or 6 clubs. Perhaps I'm a little bit over involved, but that's okay. And I think like, so there's tons of organizations. So I think my advice to all of you on this webinar is as you're researching the schools, look for the organizations that you think do fit with like what you're looking to get out of the program, as well as align to your values and goals. Because I think clubs are a huge way that I think you get a lot out of business school.
Nice. Anybody else want to chime in on kind of the research phase of involvement in their MBA program? Yeah, Dallas, go ahead.
Yeah, I can definitely chime in because I have kind of an opposite experience. I was kind of an applicant that had no interactions with any of my schools until I went to interview. So I don't think in choosing my schools or where I applied, it was based off of the community or the club. But once I got on campus and I was interviewing, that's when I took that time to really get to know the people and the community around me. So I will say, like, I immediately felt at home when I stepped onto Georgia Tech's campus. Like, we also have a small program, but not 200. We are 70. So we are very small. And so I 100% know everybody in my class and everybody in the class above me as well as the class below me. So I think that, you know, when you're thinking about your MBA, your network is your net worth. So I now have 140 people that I know very well to call on at any stage in my life versus, you know, and then the class beneath me as well. We're still getting to know them. We have 6 weeks left. We're going, but I think having that huge network available and the comfort levels with them was so important to me. And so when I got to hear from our alumni and who would be my alumni about how connected Georgia Tech was, that was very important for me going forward. And that's how I landed on my decision. Since then, I have been super involved in the community. Excuse me one second. I did sit on as a first year rep for a few of our clubs. And then I joined our graduate business council as president. So I'm essentially president of our class. And so I've had a really good opportunity to even connect more to the staff and to the students that are around and not even in the program, just kind of around Georgia Tech. The business school is kind of separated from the rest of tech. So this has been a really good opportunity to kind of widen my network a little bit more.
Anybody else? Oh, go ahead. Yes.
I'll go next. So I'm going to share just a quick story how I went about evaluating my options. I went for an interview, a full-time interview, and I was prepared. I had the why the company and why the role that I was applying for. But the first question I got was why UNC? And that has been like, I would say that's the most easiest question I've been asked during my interview. And I'm going to say exactly what I told my interviewer that even helped us really connect. Before business school, I had never lived outside of Nigeria. I have never lived apart from my family and my friends, so it was a very big move. So apart from the coursework that I considered, I was looking for programs that had courses that aligned with my interest in operations and technology, as well as leadership development. The next crucial consideration for me was community, not just a community, but a supportive community, honestly, because I felt like to be able to succeed here outside of my home country, I would need a supportive community. And that was what UNC gave me. So I went ahead analyzing three things during this application process. The first thing I did was just listen and understand how the school talked about culture and community during the admission event. Secondly was how the students engaged with each other. So I went on LinkedIn, I followed them, I saw what they said about each other, I saw how they supported each other. And thirdly was how they engaged with me. And that again was what made UNC stand out for me. That was what made UNC stand out for me, because these people I spoke with or I connected with on LinkedIn were not just supportive. They didn't just help me to gain admission. They were supportive beyond me getting an admission into UNC. They were really supportive of my career. Like back when I was in Nigeria, they were sending me podcast articles to read just to help prepare me for the task ahead. And I found that to be very, very interesting. And I knew that I wanted to be at UNC because I needed to be somewhere that I would be able to get that support. So for me, I would say that what made UNC to stand out and what I evaluated was I wanted a community where I would be able to, show up as my full self, where I would be able to grow through community support, as well as where I will be able to make meaningful connection, not just during the MBA program, but beyond the MBA program. And even during my admission interview, one of the questions I asked my interviewer was, is the culture at UNC, I know UNC has a great community, but do they have a more collaborative or competitive culture? Because that was also important to me. I want to be sure that I'm going to be with people that would be, while we're all fighting for different things, would also be able to support each other and help each other grow. So for me, community was extremely important for me as an international student. So yes.
Wonderful. Kind of related to what we've been talking about, what I'm kind of hoping we can transition to is, what are some of the significant learnings from your non-academic involvement? So I think you've all kind of touched on this of like how important learning those business fundamentals are, how that's helped you potentially make these career transitions you're looking to. But what are you learning from the experiences you're having outside of the classroom? Pallavi, if you don't mind, I'm going to pick on you first since you didn't talk last time, and since you're rounding out your experiences in your 1-year program, I'm gonna pick on you.
Sure. At Oxford, I also co-chair the Oxford Women Leadership Alliance and the Consulting Club. And one of my key learnings has been to hold panels with top leadership, both in consulting and in women's leadership here at Oxford. So we were hosting Clarice Megnan, who is the only woman partner of McKinsey senior partner of McKinsey in the entire Europe. And one of her key learnings was that in turbulent times that we are living in, how important it is to take rejection as just a matter of fact and not personally, and why specifically for women it is so important to not take rejections personally, but also as a pavement to a future responsibility or an opportunity that you can hold. So I think just interacting with these global leaders, wherein that an opportunity that Oxford gives you has really opened my own understanding of how the glass ceiling has to be broken, and whilst we are breaking the glass ceiling, how we are also supposed to impact the glass cliff. So that is number one. The second learning is the power of saying no. The number of events and the number of options that Oxford gives you is unparalleled. Every day there are at least 10 events that one is participating to. So the entire hula hoop around FOMO, just goes for a toss. So at least for the next 10 years of my life, I wouldn't be dismissed by the fact that there is FOMO, because I have learned how to say no and how to prioritize what matters the most for me and not get into that mob mentality. And the third thing is always to ask for help. While I understand that individual contributor approach is extremely important, but as women, I think somewhere we dwindle on the fact of asking for help because we tend to take it more personally. Whilst men do not do that, men are able to create a community where they're able to rub shoulders to shoulder, bank on each other, but women somehow are hesitant. But at Oxford, it has taught me that from either of the genders, seeking help does not put me on the periphery, but rather gives me that kind of confidence that I know what I bring to the table, whilst I'm also aware that wherein I have to sharpen my loose ends. So I think these would be my three most important learnings.
Wonderful. I love all of those. I think that especially there's lots of nods when you were talking about this idea of FOMO. I think all MBA programs, because there's amazing diversity in the cohort, are going to give you this huge menu of options, and you can't do it all. You can't join every club. You can't be a student leader at everything. You can't go to every lecture. So it really is deciding what's going to be true to help you achieve your goals while still pushing you outside of your comfort zone, do some things that maybe you didn't realize might be of interest. So that's definitely a balancing act that I think all MBA students need to learn very quickly while they're in the program. Alicia, I know you're wrapping up your first year. Is there anything for you that you've learned so far or that you are kind of looking forward to in your second year?
Oh yeah. Quickly hitting on the last question too about, why, what was the community feel here? And we're more isolated, I think, than other schools are in terms of New York City being about 4 hours away. And so we're in Ithaca. Everyone moves here to be at here at Cornell. And so we have this really special community. We refer to it as like the One Johnson community. Where I know every single student here. I know first years, I know second years. We're about a 600-person community, and that was what really drew me here and going to Destination Johnson, where we were admitted students and we got to get to know our second years. They were so willing to meet with us, get to know us, and I felt like I really belonged here. So again, because we're a small community, we actually transition things over quicker too. And so within, I think in November, I ran for student council co-president and I won. And so it's kind of been crazy to be in my first year to have been elected to a position of leadership in the community and still at that time, at least November, not have an internship yet. Now I have my internship, but I think a lot of the things that I've learned have been about that relationships are everything. In class, we're learning a lot about skills, specifically, how to create financial statements, how to read financial statements, how corporate financial governance works. And these are all very important skills, but at the end of the day, your ability to communicate out ideas to bring people together and to be persuasive is key and is what sets you apart in the workplace. My other thought too is that when you are going to get a graduate degree, you could go get a very specific master's in accounting, a master's in finance, to be able to really learn these skills, but you're coming to an MBA program to be well-rounded and to have leadership skills. So this has been an incredible chance to challenge me for things to go wrong and for me to mess up and to really understand how I show up as a leader and how I can be more helpful. I think a piece that I've really enjoyed, especially being a woman leader, is that I've learned a lot more about constructive feedback. That's a piece that I didn't get to do a lot in my job before. I was not a manager, and now I kind of informally manage people. And why should they listen to my constructive feedback? How do I give them constructive feedback? I actually, right after this, I'll be meeting with an external leadership coach that Cornell Johnson has paired me with to be able to go over challenges and opportunities that I'm experiencing. And so there's just been an incredible amount of opportunities to learn and challenge challenge myself and to like really grow so that when I'm showing up in the workplace, I'm showing up as a well-rounded business leader rather than someone who's just like, oh, I know what this statement is saying, or I know how to do M&A. I can actually be persuasive in my role, and that's been key.
Thank you. For those of you that are about to graduate, first of all, congrats, you made it. But as you reflect back, what experience has been most rewarding to you in your MBA program? Oh, I won't pick on the four of you, but if someone wants to come off mute and start us off, Hannah, kick us off.
I'm gonna cheat. I hope you don't mind and give two. Sorry. I have because they're like two very different areas. Like one, the first one like was our my prime experience of going to in my first year. So I went to Seoul, South Korea for 10 days with 30 of my classmates. And the purpose of the visit is we go visit companies who are doing business in South Korea and see how they do it within their countries as well as around the world. There's also a consulting project aspect where we each work with one of those companies on a real world problem that they're having. I'm going into consulting after business school, so it was like a precursor to my summer internship in some ways. And then also just like I tried to remind myself every day that I was there, like likely never again in my life will I be in a foreign country with 30 of my friends, like waking up and exploring and having a good time and being silly but being serious at the same time. So it's something I will literally never forget. And then after the fact, I got to go to Japan again with 30 of my other friends who we met up in other destinations as well, which was also incredible. So 2 countries in 2 weeks was pretty amazing. But then I think from like an impactful aspect, one of the things that I got out of the most was I went into consulting. I'm a VP on the consulting and strategy club here at Marshall. And this year getting to work with and help the first years of the new cohort go through consulting recruiting was really impactful for me. I think at Marshall, but I think a lot of other business schools too, there is that like pay it forward aspect of when you first join a program, your second years help you make that transition and you want to do the same for the incoming class. And then obviously hopefully do the same as an alumni too. So I think getting to know the cohort, we have a mentorship program. I had 5 mentees. And I think really seeing them find success and make it through the struggles that I went through myself and could really see myself as a quote unquote like leader or leading without authority to help someone who was in my shoes that I was in like a year before get through a pretty insane process is one of the things like I'm so grateful for. And I think it's a key in how I developed relationships with a lot of the first years, became friends with them because they spent so much time with me when they were recruiting for consulting that when their friends would come over to say hello to them, like I met them too. So I think it was key in me really like I think Dallas talked about it, like the importance of your professional network when you're in business school. Lean into your own year, but also lean into the year above you and the year below you when they come in too. Because I think like I love the idea that there's 200 people above me in my year and below me who at some point in my life I could call on them to say like I need help with a problem or I'm looking to make like whatever it may be. I think are my two. Yeah.
Thank you. Dallas, go ahead.
Yeah, I also have two, a little bit different on
Should have just asked you all for your top two.
mine are quick. Like one of them, I mean, I think the experience of just the people I have met in my MBA, I didn't really come into my MBA expecting to make as good of friends as I did. And I have met some of the most incredible people in my life that I have. And I think that's just an overall experience that I just wasn't expecting, but I was like I'm super happy about. And then the other part of it is I legitimately came into my interview for Georgia Tech, and one of the questions was like, what are you going to do to be a part of the community? And I sat there and I told my interviewer, I was like, I know what you want me to say, but I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to be this person that's like leading clubs or doing all of these things. And I was like, I'll come to the events, I'll do that, but I'm not interested in any of those, leadership opportunities or setting up events for people or anything like that. And he kind of laughed, and here I am. The next year, I am president of my class, so I do a lot more. So I think the idea of like the growth that I've experienced throughout the program overall and how much it's changed and developed me as a person, and made me more open to different experiences going forward has been probably the most rewarding thing about my MBA.
Yeah, you will change during your MBA program for sure. Yes. Anastasia, go ahead.
Okay, so for me, I have just one. It would be the leadership opportunities. So before when I came to business school, one of the things I struggled with was imposter syndrome. I mean, I still struggle with that sometimes, but the leadership opportunities that I decided to take on really helped me to build my confidence and, help me trust in my abilities more. What I think it was in the second mod of my MBA program, just 3 months after we started. Despite the fact that I was nervous about like going into a leadership position, I pushed myself to apply for a liaison position with the Data Analytics Club, and that really helped to prepare me, help me speak up more, help me learn to collaborate with people, and also like sort of helped me to believe in myself more. And that also like helped me build a foundation that helped me through my time as the co-president of Africa Business Club here at UNC. It's been like a life-changing experience for me. I'm not even going to lie about it. I've really built relationships. I've brought people together, organized events that really brought people together and made people happy. I have implemented initiatives that has really helped grow the community, both within UNC as well as outside of UNC. So those leadership experiences has been one of my most fulfilling experiences here at UNC, and it's something that I would continue to appreciate even after I leave here. So for anyone that is coming in, to do their MBA, you will be scared. You will have those times when you feel like you're not adequate, but like just do it regardless. Do it whether you're scared, whether you don't feel like you can do it. Just go ahead and do it, because one thing I've realized through this program is that we're capable of more than we give ourselves credit for. So just go ahead and do it scared, and you would never regret it.
I love that. There's a quote I like by I think it's by Glennon Doyle. It's like if you can't get over the fear, then just do it scared. Like there's going to be a lot of times in your MBA program where you're just going to have to do things when you're scared. I think that's a great one as well. I would love for my last question to be around what advice you would either give your past self. So for candidates that are here watching today that are about to go through this application process, or maybe in the application process, going to start on their MBAs, what advice would you either give your past self or maybe someone who's in your past shoes? Yeah, Alicia, jump right in. You were the most recent, so I feel like this is good. Yes.
Yeah, I was like, I kind of remember this. This has been a life-changing experience, and like it's hard to, even if I was to graduate in May, I would feel like this would be just a life-changing experience in and of itself, but I am not. I have a full more year. I think what the MBA launch program did for me very specifically that I have found very helpful in this program is to be introspective about your goals and why you're going into your MBA program. So, the story that I used for admissions to get into Cornell, I used to get my internship at SC Johnson this summer in brand management. I have used it to really like describe myself, to help me move through spaces, to be able to, again, prioritize what I'm going to be involved with, and not get caught up in that aspect of there's so much going on at all times. You're going to have wonderful classmates who will be very persuasive about why you should do investment banking or why you should do technology, even though you have no tech background and financials are not really your skill set. And so being able to know, very clearly who you are and what you're looking to get out from this program will be really helpful. I think the other part about it too is that these programs move so quickly, for Cornell, and I'm sure it's for all these other programs as well. Things start up in the summer in terms of early recruiting opportunities, really thinking through what types of recruitment you're going to do. So making sure that you are being introspective, using this time to really think about why you're going into this program, to be able to, in the program, move quicker and do the things that actually have the outcome that you'd like.
Advice. Pallavi, do you have any advice for your past self or candidates today?
Absolutely. I think a 1 year program is a very different pedagogy as far as 15 months or 18 months or a 2 year program is concerned. It is literally drinking out of a fire hose. And therefore, it is extremely important to be prepared. So the first thing is that if one is looking at the three pivot jump, then a lot of hard work has to be put in before the MBA begins. It is good to maneuver through the entire process, but it is also important to be very strategic that this is going to fly by like a blink of an eye. First. And the second is that at any given point of time, there are three things that one is working on in an MBA. One is academic, second is social, and third is recruitment. More strategically, at any phase, there are two which are of high priority, while the third one can be put on the back burner. So that choice is important to practice. And perfection is a myth, specifically in an MBA. It is important to be more strategic in one's choices. And the third is that your mental health and identity crisis takes a toll. And it happens with best of us. All of us goes through an imposter syndrome. All of us double tap on what are we bringing to the table? How will the recruitment happen, specifically in the turbulent economy that we are going through? At that time, it is extremely important to breathe in and understand that MBA's ROI will not come in 1 year. It's a long-term investment, and the ROI is going to map out in 5 years, in a decade. And therefore, it is very important to have that kind of a forward-looking approach and a futuristic understanding of MBA.
Absolutely. Great advice. Who wants to go next? We'll do Anastasia and then Hannah.
Okay, so my advice to anyone who is planning to come to the MBA program would be to give yourself some grace. I know that it's very easy for you to think that you have to figure out everything before you even start. But the truth is, the MBA program is for growth, it's for exploration. You have the option to explore and decide on what you want to do eventually. And then it's also for you to learn as you go. So there will be moments when you feel like you do not belong. There will be moments of imposter syndrome. There will be moments where you feel inadequate, but you need to trust that you belong in the room, because you actually do belong in the room. Just close your eyes, close your ears from the noise, and really be kind to yourself. And never, ever forget how far you've already come before you even decided to come for the MBA program. So that would really be my advice.
That advice. Hannah.
I think mine is ground your process in authenticity. Like, what I mean by that is, I think to Alicia's point of like really do that introspective work, figure out like why you're going to business school and what you're looking to get out of business school. So you can actually evaluate what is the right fit for you. And that should be beyond name brand, employers, the alumni network, because you're looking to find people who you resonate with to be your network is your net worth. Like Dallas said it, I couldn't have said it better myself. And I also, the authenticity piece is really important too, because I know for our admissions team, think about the schools you're applying to. The AdCom teams read thousands of applications every year. They interview hundreds of people every year. So if you're giving the cookie cutter answer of I want to go into consulting because I want to solve problems, as an example, or I want to go into tech because our product management because I want to solve big tech problems. Like it doesn't come through to who you are. So don't be afraid to be a little bit more vulnerable in your essays about your background and your path forward and what your goals are. Like, and then the same in your interview. And I also think to Alicia's point, that'll serve you really well when you come to campus and have to start telling your stories to your friends, your recruiters, and all of that. Like, so I think leading with authenticity in the process will really set you up for success in the long term.
Great. There was a question. We're going to take some audience questions. There was a question. Someone was curious about what you all are doing after graduation. So for our graduating students, if you don't mind sharing, if you're comfortable sharing, love to hear about what you're doing afterwards. And then Alicia, if you know what you're doing this summer, I'd love to hear that too. So whoever wants to chime in first. Alicia, what are you doing this summer?
Yeah, so I will be going to SC Johnson to be a brand manager. I'm very excited. Cornell Johnson is the SC Johnson Graduate School of Management. So it's been really exciting to be able to go there. And I can't wait to be in Racine, Wisconsin. If anyone has any recommendations of what to do in Milwaukee and Racine, let me know.
Dallas. We'll do Dallas and then Anastasia.
Yeah, so mine's very quick. This summer I interned at Toyota North America. I decided not to return back to Toyota, so I'm re-recruiting into product management roles in the DC area. So I have a location and like what type of role I want to go for, but we're still looking for the job.
Right. Anastasia, I think you hinted at it earlier, but let's hear it again, more specific.
Yeah, so I'm going to be joining Amazon as a Pathways Operations Manager, and I'm really excited about that because that was part of the things I had in my essays during my application process. So it's like a dream come true for me. So I'm excited about that.
Hannah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. To Anastasia's point, I love you basically manifested your end goal. That's amazing. I interned at EY Parthenon in the LA office over the summer, and I'll be going back there this fall.
Got that consulting gig you wanted. Pallavi, what about you? What are you going to be up to after graduation?
I'm still recruiting. So
Wonderful.
our interview processes begin somewhere around December and they go up till April because it's a 1-year program, September to September. So still in the interviewing process.
Yes, absolutely. Wonderful. I'm going to stay with you, Pallavi. There was a question in the Q&A. Since you came from a law background, someone's curious about how you were able to get on track with some of the finance pieces of the coursework. Were there any things that you did before the start of the program to help you get on track with the business curriculum?
Sure, definitely. That was a tough cookie to crack, undoubtedly. Corporate finance and the valuation and the entire hula hoop around PE, etc. So there was a pre-MBA program that Oxford gives us to prepare us with basic understanding of how the balance sheet looks like, what are the valuation mechanisms that are there, etc. But the other supportive part of the MBA at Oxford is that there are also supportive classes that people come from the diverse backgrounds. So other than the academic classes, there's a support group that that very well works with people who are not acquainted with business side of things. So that was a lot of help. And the second was definitely the cohort because the diversity is magnanimous at Oxford. So there would be majority people who come from the business background, but there are also quantum of people who are not aware about a lot of things. So it's a very supportive support circle where people are looking out for each other and providing the necessary kind of learnings that they have taken forward.
Thank you. There's a question, one other question I'm going to kind of interpret a little bit here. Did any of you, since you all are in full-time programs, did any of you have the opportunity to interact with candidates in either the part-time or executive programs or other programs that existed on campus outside of the full-time MBA?
I did, for sure. Like I think in elective classes, once you get out of your core, electives are open to at USC to all master's programs or most are. So I definitely took classes with students in our 1-year program, which are called iBears. I took classes with PM students, Masters of Analytics, Masters of Marketing. And I think your network is your net worth. So again, it's just another opportunity and I'd encourage anyone considering an MBA, if you have a lot of time in business school, but you also have limited time in some ways because there's always stuff going on where you can, if you meet someone or you hear a name that you think you have similar goals to or whatever it may be, reach out and get to know them too, to really expand your network beyond just the full-time program too.
All right, any final pieces of advice that someone wants to impart upon our audience today? You guys were great with the words of wisdom. Dallas, go ahead.
Yeah, I can give one, and this was some advice that one of my second years gave me, and I think it's really great for any MBA program. But just lean into the experience and try anything once. You don't have to I didn't recruit for consulting, but I tried to case interview once, right? So it's like, oh, okay, now I really don't like this. And now you can help develop your journey more if you really do lean in. It's going to help you connect better with your classmates, better with, Georgia Tech is a small program, right? But we have Emory right down the road. And so leaning in and trying to go to like Emory events and connect with those people has been really helpful in also growing my network and all of that. So yeah, definitely try anything once and lean into all experiences.
Oh. Yeah, Hannah, go ahead.
It's pretty similar to Dallas, but my mantra of business school is you get out what you put in. I think that applies to your social life, your classwork life, and your recruiting life. So identify the things that are really important to you and then put in the work. And I think you definitely see results tenfold. And I think just like a rah-rah thing, like you got this. I think there is so many more seats at the table for women to come to business school. And so I really hope seeing the 5 of us who are currently in that process gives you the hope that you could be in our shoes, because I know you can be. So everyone who's considering it, I 1000% encourage you to apply for an MBA. It's been one of the best decisions I've ever made.
Amazing. That is a perfect piece of advice to end on. Couldn't have said it better myself, Hannah. Thank you so much. I want to thank everybody for being here today. Thank you for your time. I know our amazing panelists, there's lots of things that you have going on in your MBA right now. So I certainly appreciate that you've taken the time to share your experiences with women that hope to be in your shoes in the not too distant future. To our audience today, thank you for spending some time with us. If you have any questions about any of the things that we mentioned at the beginning of this program, you'd like to continue, please reach out to us. More than happy to help. But thank you all so much for listening today. I hope this was a wonderful session. I thoroughly enjoyed today. It was my absolute pleasure to moderate. Alicia, Dallas, Pallavi, Anastasia, and Hannah, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you to our amazing school sponsors, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their day. Thanks so much.